play is based on interviews by the members of our theater company soon after the incidents in Metatrap, California in February of 2024. These interviews were filmed. Tonight's performances is based on those interviews, as well as online available resources including letters, newspaper articles, and security camera footage.
Could you tell me your name and age, please?
Gwendolyn Haish, 35. Should I start?
We're already rolling.
All right, well, I'll just start with the story, I guess. When I was much younger, way before I got started with law enforcement, I had this idea. I wanted to be an artist. And I was living in New York City at the time, in this tiny little 5th floor walk-up studio apartment. And I'm trying to be a painter, so I'd wait tables during the day and I'd stay up until 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And that's how I noticed I had this neighbor. Every morning at 3:30, I'd hear his alarm go off and he'd say, "Not again." And at exactly 4:15, I'd hear him open his door and walk down the stairs. But I never saw him. One night I couldn't take it anymore. I had to see what this guy looked like. So I walked to my own front door. My front door had this peephole about yay big with a metal plate you had to slide across to look through. So I creep up to my front door, turn off the lights, slide the plate aside, and look through. And I scream! An involuntary scream that comes out like a real scream, not a fake movie scream. It's very different. I scream, I fall back, hit the bathroom door on the way down. Huge commotion as I hit the floor. Because what happened was, when I looked through that peephole, I saw an eye. He was looking at me. I'm on the floor and I just freeze. Finally, on the other side of the door, I hear the guy picking up his keys and walking back out the door. And now I actually had to see what this guy looked like. So I pick myself up, slide the plate aside again, look through again, and I scream again. There's that eye again. It was mine. It was the reflection of my own eye. I realized it just in time to see this freaked out looking postman head down the stairs. That was the most scared I've ever been. And it was just me, scaring me. The only other time I heard that scream, what a real scream sounds like, was the night I heard 241 people make it all at once. I told that story to Candelaria, and she said, "You're missing part of the lesson. There's more than one thing that scared you. It was mostly about being startled by the eye, but what was the first thing you did? You turned off the light switch. People are naturally scared of the dark."
Section 1, A Picture of Infinity.
When I was 8, we lived in a house in Dunbar, North Carolina. It was just about a quarter mile from Kendall Avenue, the main shopping street. It was a tall house, and from my bedroom on the 4th floor, I could...
It's all right, just keep going.
It was a tall house, and from my bedroom on the 4th floor, I could see a billboard. It was an ad for Diet Coke. In it, 2 guys and a girl were clowning around, but exaggerated. To me, it was a picture of infinity. Models acting like people, acting like models. It was the first time I encountered recursion, something that bends back into itself, that refers to itself, and so it becomes a loop. My name is Candelaria Ortez. After what happened at the Yolk Box, they were trying to understand it from every angle. Criminal, psychological, biological, philosophical. That's why they brought me in.
We have this, I have this photo. We were on our way to church and everyone looked so nice that I lined us with the timer and I took one. Me with my arm squeezing all 3 of them. And before I could take the next one, I saw it. It was a miracle shot. It was the Hail Mary of impromptu photos. So I had it printed, 8 by 10. The frame, though, it's cardboard lead. It broke. So instead of using that, I leaned it against the wall on the top of the cabinet. That night, as the kids were heading out to the play, I saw it slid down. So I picked it up and leaned it against the wall again. So one moment of grace, as I walked out that door, I looked at that photo.
Minichap isn't a town anybody outside Amador County has ever heard of, but everybody's surprised at how pretty it is. Once you get off 234, it's all rolling hills and greens. So most people's jobs have something to do with parsley farms. Not a lot of people think about it, but yes, there are parsley farms, big ones. Not a lot of people move here, but not a lot of people leave. They like it because it's peaceful and safe.
My wife had pink eye, so I went to my friend Harlan's house. As soon as I get there, he says, "You're just in time. The kitchen sink's a disaster." I'm a contractor, not a plumber. But I said, okay. A few minutes go by. I said, it's either going to be the clog or the play. You okay blowing off the play? He said, sure. And then we could grab some drinks afterwards. I said, okay, but we're going to pretend we went to the play.
So I'm brand new to this job. I mean, it's like my 4th day ever being a detective, and I really want to do a good job. But I can tell I'm not. And it's little things. Being new in a place gets in your way in ways you don't expect. Why are there 2 conference rooms with the same name? The fax machine. Do you press 9? Do you not press 9? And just edit this part out, please. People are not as nice to me as I would be in their situation. And I can even tell where the paper goes in this fax machine.
It was a printer.
So anyway, I'm thinking, how did things get worse? And then the whole instance starts, and things get worse and worse and worse.
Me and Mary Wriggler are just sitting below the oak box, just talking of the world. And suddenly there's a sound. It's a foghorn. And Mary said, it must be part of the play.
I'm a forensic engineer. If a bridge collapses or a dam gives way or people get trapped in a fire, they call me to figure out what went wrong. Some of the cases are famous. The Hartford Circus Fire in 1944 killed 168 people. The Great White Fire in 2003 killed 100. One of the things you always pay attention to is the doors. There was this fire, a famous fire in Chicago in 1903, the Iroquois Fire. It was right after Christmas, so kids were out of school and the whole theater was packed. All 3 levels and even standing room on the second. Anyways, what happened was a curtain caught fire and, well, the first people to reach the doors realized half a second too late that the doors opened in. The people behind them crowded them and they couldn't get the door open with the hinges going the wrong way. But one of the things you pay attention to when you look at a door that's trapped people are the scuff marks. They're there because the impulse is to kick. If there's more time, you'll find dents, sometimes big ones, where someone got a fire extinguisher, dresser, something heavy. But the incident at the Oak Box, I had never seen anything like it. You looked at those doors and you just thought, what the hell?
I get back home, and my wife comes running out, and I have no clue what's happening. But it's clear that I shouldn't say, oh, we went to the play and got a few drinks afterwards. She says, turn on the news, and I'm expecting Channel 2. But she turns on CNN.
I wasn't surprised that they found me. I was surprised that they thought to look. My name is Rickenot Boehner, and I am an assistant professor at the University of Minnesota. I study fear.
What's your emergency?
I'm not sure.
Is it life-threatening?
Yes.
Are you safe right now?
No.
No! I'm sending someone. More than one. There's cars already on the way. What's your name, honey?
Angela!
Angela. I'm sending them to the Oak Box. Is that right?
Yes!
And there's a play. The high school's doing a play. Is that where you are?
Yes!
In the theater?
Yes!
And somebody's hurt?
Everybody!
What are you saying? Where are you in the theater?
I'm just standing on the stage.
Take a very, very deep breath. Hold it.
It didn't make any sense. All of a sudden, 241 people just go unconscious like that. We only have a few events from the timeline. We know the people are fine at 11 after 7, because that's when the usher texts her older brother to pick her up after the show. Then she goes into the theater and turns off her phone. At 8:11, we hear two kids sitting below a ridge hear what they think is a foghorn, but they assume it's part of the play. Then, at 8:22, we get the 911 call. A girl named Angela Lur, who it turns out is the only person still conscious. When we finally get her out of there, she won't talk. She either doesn't know what happened, or she's too scared to say it.
The Oak Box was international news. I was hiking the hills near Clovis, New Zealand when I heard about it. People falling unconscious. In a theater. That was the key. I had conflicting thoughts. At first I thought, how horrible. And then I thought, there it is. There's our proof. Section 2, the Oak Box.
I didn't find out about it until morning, when it was on every single channel. I got that weird feeling you get when you see something on TV that's right in your own neighborhood. The Oak Box? Again? There's no way this isn't a coincidence. Everyone was like, that was 79 years ago. But I remember thinking, I don't care if it was 79 years ago. One theater, two tragedies. There's gotta be a connection.
Minichap Herald, March 19, 1947. Bond Measure 2A, funding to build a new theater palace on Semper Bluff, passed today with 54% of the vote. According to Mayor Roger Wegman, we intend to use this money to construct a building that will attract visitors to Minichap from all over the country. The search for an architect is set to begin immediately.
From architect Brand Hillock's winning bid for the Minichap Theater project. Theaters have soaring sky spaces where the set can be pulled up out of view. My plan extends the metaphor of flight throughout the entire building. Half arches will rise like wings lit from within. My hope is that the theater will be known far and wide as the Minichap Angel.
Minichap Herald, April 1st, 1947. Ground was broken yesterday on the Minichap Angel, our city's 700-seat civic theater. Mayor Roger Wegman overturned the first ceremonial shovelfuls of earth and proudly declared that this project would be a boon to our economy and even more to our spirits.
Letter from Norma Pike to Adelaide Pike, April 3rd, 1947. Dear sister, I miss you. I miss you, and there's no one else in Minichap I can talk to about this. I'm disgusted with myself. I had Jonathan all to myself for 3 hours, and I said nothing. We had dinner at Chauncey's cream room, but it was somber. Jonathan's been so quiet ever since Papa moved to San Francisco. Why do men have so few friends? He didn't talk, and I couldn't think of anything to say except for the question, and I simply wasn't brave enough to ask it.
Minichap Herald, April 4th, 1947. Construction halted yesterday on the Minichap Civic Theater. New synastic techniques have determined that the granite bedrock below Semper Bluff is twice as thick as previously believed. According to Chief Engineer Foster Wellingham, our plans call for dressing rooms below ground, as well as stage machinery, including trapdoors. This delay will be a few weeks at most.
Norma Pike to Adelaide Pike, May 25th, 1947. He said, yes, Adelaide, I can't tell you how happy I am. Saturday night we walked up the bluff and we stared out at the lights of the ships, and when he looked away, I bent down on one knee, and I handed out Grandfather's wedding band. He said, what are you doing? I said, what does it look like I'm doing? That's not how it's supposed to be done. Jonathan, we're going to be married for at least 50 years. No one needs to know how it began. Adelaide, I feel lit from within, electrified. And this time I promise it's not in a bad way. Oh, I must rush off. The Crowleys are coming over and I have to buy another sofa.
Minichap Herald, May 31st, 1947. Local boy vanished. 10-year-old Marcus Tumble was reported missing Tuesday night from a family picnic. He'd been playing hide and seek with his cousins, says Father Guillermo. They went to go play by the beach down by Semper Bluff, and he didn't come back. Marcus is 5 feet 2 inches tall. Was last seen wearing a long black sweater and white shorts. He's missing a front tooth.
Letter from Normal Pike to Adelaide Pike, June 2nd, 1947. My apologies for not being clearer on the topic of the Crowleys and the sofa. Last week I was sure that Jonathan would rebuff my proposal, and it drove me positively frenzied. The morning I proposed, I was alone in the house, and I banged the south wall of the living room with my shoe again and again and again until I was calm. The sofa arrived just in time, and I was able to blame the movers for the dents in the wall.
Minichap Herald, June 5th, 1947. Yesterday, by a vote of 5 to 4, the Board of Supervisors authorized new blueprints for the Minichap Civic Theater. According to Chief of Operations Zed Orenthal, we've had no choice given our updated understanding of the bluff. We've had to abandon the idea of wings.
Letter from Normal Pike to Adelaide Pike, June 7th, 1947. Dear sister, every moment of every day is the happiest time of my life. The only shadow is that it's so easy to tip Jonathan into silence. The other day I made a joke about the kilt he was wearing for the Scottish Festival, and he got really quiet. And then later I said, darling, please don't misconstrue this, but I'm glad your business failed. Finally, you're all mine.
Los Angeles Times, June 2nd, 1947. For the first time in history, the residents of the Place of Farming community of Minichap Herald are locking their doors. The disappearance of 10-year-old Marcus Tumble has unsettled this town, an hour and a half north of Santa Barbara. In the absence of plausible natural reasons, Marcus disappeared on a family reunion. Marcus's mother, Thea, finds it suspicious that he should even go missing on the day of the Scottish Festival. All those men we've never even seen before, walking all over the town, wearing dresses. The police say there's no evidence, but I don't need evidence.
Minichap Herald, September 24th, 1947. Man arrested in Marcus Tumble case. Police on Thursday took into custody a suspect in the case of missing 10-year-old Marcus Tumble. Authorities have confirmed this man to be 33-year-old.
Jonathan, September 24th. Adelaide, they put Jonathan in jail. It's unbelievable. They say he had something to do with that little boy who went missing. It's ridiculous, and they won't even say why they suspect him.
Letter from Gander, Maine to Samson Benet Esquire. The job seems well. On the stand, Mrs. Tumble points to a scratch on the float ring that Mr. Mollusk had in his furnished room. She positively identifies it as the float ring that had belonged to her son. But Mrs. Tumble is not her only ally. Watch the jury as they watch Miss Pike. When her fiancé grimaces, she grimaces. When he looks downcast, so does she. She impeaches herself as a character witness. She'll be desperate to testify in his behalf. We must not appear too eager.
Excerpt of the transcript of the trial at the courthouse by the sea. Cross-examination of Jonathan Mollusk.
So the float ring that I'm holding right here, you claim to have picked it up on the beach. Is that right?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
I don't know, I just did.
Were you afraid you might drown?
Laughter in the courtroom.
Objection!
Sustained!
So on the afternoon of May 30th, the afternoon that Marcus Tumble disappeared, you claim to have been taking a long walk, a 4-hour walk, down the beach. Is that right?
Yes.
Were you in the habit of taking 4 walks in the middle of the workday?
No.
Had you ever taken such a walk?
No.
Did anyone see you?
It was a weekday afternoon.
You work at Momsley Limited, shipping and transcription, as a typist, is that right?
Yes.
How long has that been your employment?
3 weeks.
3 weeks, but you felt comfortable taking 4 hours off?
I need to think about the world, my place in the world.
So you took this walk without telling anyone, Mr. Mollusk. Is that right?
I wrote a note, I wasn't feeling well.
And who did you give this to?
I meant to give it to Mr. Clark, my supervisor. I later found out it was in my home coat pocket.
Minichap Herald, November 1st, 1947. Verdict announced. Swift justice. After only 5 hours of deliberation, the Jonathan Mollusk jury announced a guilty verdict on the count of kidnapping and guilty as well on the count of murder. There was a great commotion in the courtroom when Mr. Mollusk's fiancée began to wail so loudly that she had to be forcibly removed. But the murderer was not to spend 1 minute behind bars. In an extraordinary scene, only 2 hours later, the boy's father and 3 armed men rushed the bailiff as they made their way from the courthouse by the sea to the transports. The assailants grabbed Mr. Mollusk and held him under the sea until he was still. Witnesses claim that this incident confirms Mr. Moll's guilt, as he had not made a move to free himself, allowed himself to be held under without a struggle. Minichap Herald, November 7th, 1947. Body of child found. Construction halted Tuesday after the discovery of the body of a young boy within the ruins of the Minichap Theater. It's a 1 in a million tragedy, said construction supervisor Clifton Ailes. We'd sealed the theater for safety, but one of the lower windows had come unlatched. He must have climbed in through there. From there, he appears to have peered into the still shallow trap door. When that heavy door fell shut, he wouldn't have had a chance. Minichap Herald, February 1st.
Los Angeles Times, February 2nd.
Time Magazine, February 7th.
The opening night of our civic theater was home to one of the most extraordinary spectacles ever witnessed by this community.
The long-awaited opening of the Minichap Civic Theater will long be remembered.
3 months after the discovery of a boy beneath the still under construction track of the theater,
The tragedy known to every member of our community.
the opening of the theater was finally underway.
With the night drenched in the sudden squall, the capacity audience stashed their umbrellas, eager to put the events of the past few months out of their heads.
The audience watched, rapt, as Medea, passionately played by Broadway actress Linya Rasmussen, called her children to arrest one final time. But as Medea wailed her vengeance, Norma Pike, fiancée of the unfortunately accused Jonathan Moles, entered the theater dressed all in blue.
Less dressed in a costume.
Dressed like the ocean,
She held aloft a glass.
tall and green, full of liquid.
Held it high like a torch and proclaimed,
Welcome to this theater, your theater.
most of the audience would later report that they believed her to be part of the performance.
This ugly box of a theater will become famous, but not in the way that you'd hoped. Nobody will ever think of this dank shell of an oak without thinking of the 3 people who died because of it. The boy who suffocated, the man who died because of the boy, and the woman who cursed the building for all time by drowning in it.
Some looked away, the rest wished they had, as
She brought the glass to her mouth and tipped it back.
Poured it straight into her throat.
aspirated the entire contents of the glass.
Swallowed it without swallowing.
Her eyes bore into the audience until she fell dead to the floor.
In front of 700 people, Miss Pike drowned herself with a glass of seawater. Page 71 of Haunting California by Naomi Sanderson. In the years since the triple tragedy, dozens of people, moonlight sweethearts, schoolboy daredevils, have glanced up at the single mica window in the theater lobby and seen a figure. Sometimes it's a boy, trapped, afraid. Others see the outline of a man, eyes closed, resigned. But on rare occasions, storm watchers find themselves overtaken, drenched, and the shade illuminated by the lightning flash is a woman. She holds a sea green goblet and smiles an invitation. Drink with me.
After the Oak Box incident, one thing we wanted to know was why Minichap? Why the Oak Box? My theory was that they might have chosen this place because there was some fright built in just by being in the building. Everyone in this town knows the story of Norma Pike, but it's a local tragedy. On impulse, really, I Googled scary theaters. It was the top result. 4 terrifying theaters. Princess Theatre, Melbourne, Australia. Manila Film Center, Kansas City, Philippines. Theatre Royale, Drury Lane, London. And there it was. 4th out of 4. The Oak Box, Minichap, California. I got chills because I realized that's what they thought the Oak Box. Section 3. What held them?
It was that Sunday morning, 18 hours after the Oak Box incident. 236 audience members and 5 members of the cast, on the ground, breathing, thank God, with 2 mysteries. 1, what happened to these people? That was the main question. And second was the doors. How do we make sense of those doors?
Could you tell me your name, please?
I'm Avishai Lesner. I'm the Chief Forensic Engineer for the California Department of Infrastructure.
Efren Salas. I'm a firefighter at Station 41, Minichap County.
My name's Isa Puente, and I'm a neurobiologist at UC Berkeley.
I was the first one in the theater that night. I was the one that carried the girl off stage. Before I carried her out, she said the thing we couldn't figure out. 4 words.
The first thing I noticed about the bodies was the absence of what's called relative resonance. It's the tendency of people who knew each other in life, in tragic situations, to cluster. After a fire, you'll find the body of a parent wrapped around a child, or friends clinging together. But the Oak Box was different. People who didn't know each other at all felt right on top of each other, and people who didn't know each other in life felt right on top of each other. Theater Camera 1.
What about this girl? Sarah West. She was almost at the door. Was she leaving early?
No, look at the way she felt. She was running.
And she's wearing earbuds. She clearly wasn't paying attention to the play.
Can you tell what she was listening to?
It's classical. Gymnopedie number 1?
Gymnopedie number 1 by Eric Satie.
Yeah.
Something else is strange, Hayes. Something wrong?
I just didn't know you knew my name.
What do you notice that's strange about the positions of these bodies?
The programs. There's so many people holding them.
That's what I noticed too.
Holding them like they've been trying to read them up until the last second.
It was the speed that threw me. What could overcome that many people that fast? Maybe an electrical impulse, or maybe some kind of gas had overcome them. We scoured the ventilation system. There was nothing.
I was in the theater a lot. I wanted to see if I could figure out what had happened to those people.
I said, what do you think overcame these people so fast?
How do you know it was fast?
Of course it was fast.
That's when they brought me in. Finding out how long a body's been unconscious for is really not that hard as long as you have the right equipment. When a body falls unconscious, their body temperature drops by 2.5 degrees. But that takes a while. So, we attach microthermometers to their heads, electrodes, and what we found was a surprise to say the least.
It didn't make any sense.
The first to fall was Paul Schmidt in A13, next was Anna Strom in D41. The first 26 people didn't fall all at once. They fell one by one.
Are you sure of this? Theater Camera 1. Continuance.
Of course I'm sure. Look at this. It's the seating chart for the Oak Box, A13, D41. What do you notice?
Nothing.
Next one's at 42.
So front row, aisle, then the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, then Leah's Rajay, L19.
The back of row L is at the horizontal. It started at the front and the back and the sides.
Yeah, it worked that way until the 26th person, Franklin James.
I know Frank.
Whatever happened to these people, it's worked its way in, like something cooking.
This doesn't seem like a natural phenomenon. It seems like attackers.
Agreed.
241 people fall unconscious one by one. But that doesn't make any sense. Everyone else can see the others falling over. I don't see how this could be human.
Meaning what?
I don't know.
Hey, can you guys shut up for a second? You hear that? It's like a chirp.
I don't hear anything.
No, there it is again, over there. I lived in Alaska until I was 10, so I have really good hearing. Your ears are always covered. There it is again, over there. The bodies are making a sound.
Which bodies?
All of them.
On Sunday morning, we had 2 mysteries. On Sunday afternoon, we had 3. What happened to these people? What were the sounds Ephraim was hearing? And the doors. Those people had 45 minutes to leave, and those doors were wide open. Section 4, Marion J. Officials are baffled by events in a small California town.
And our top story tonight, a mystery, un evento misterioso.
On Monday morning, we put out footage. The tips came flooding in by noon. We got messages from 5 continents. I pulled investigators from other counties to check out every single lead.
And I got the slush pile. It was bigger than all the others, and it had more insanity than I knew was in this world.
I read a book once about intelligent monkeys.
Stop
My
putting
name
those
is
dead
Elsa,
people
so
on
you know you
TV.
can trust me.
I'll help you.
Stop showing those bodies. It disturbs me.
That must have been
I know the one on the left.
Boring play.
Transcript of a call from Seattle, Washington to the Oak Box hotline. October 7th, 7:32 p.m.
Oh, Fox Hotline.
Hello, my name is Marion J. I'm a professor at the University of Washington, and what I'm about to say might sound crazy.
Uh-huh.
Is this a secure line?
Yes, why?
I'm gonna tell you something, but you have to promise not to hang up on me.
I can't promise that.
You have a theater full of people who've fallen unconscious.
Yes.
By now, you've probably figured out that they were attacked one by one.
How do you know that?
I think you're dealing with something called Farinox.
Farinox? What are Farinox?
Start with what they're not, which is human.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up now.
Are all your victims still alive?
Yes.
They won't be if you hang up. You have less than a week until their hearts start to stop.
Farinox?
They're not human, but they look human.
Why haven't I heard of them?
Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? Sorry, I thought I heard something. You haven't heard of them because they don't want you to. And because the attacks are rare. They're like locusts. They have every 16 years. The last attack was in Gulfspec, Scotland in 2009. And then 16 years before that in Iceland. And then 16. And then 16. It's a swarming behavior. The creatures attack, mate, and then they die. All but one, a caretaker, who looks after the larvae while they grow. And what this means is that all Farinox are 16 years old. Except one.
Okay, I've taken notes of your call and we'll get back to you if necessary.
Were there an unusually high number of new students at Menochop High School this year?
Yes.
And at least one new teacher?
The theater teacher.
And what happened to the old one?
She died.
Unexpectedly with no apparent cause?
Yeah. Why wouldn't anyone else have heard of these things?
Ah!
What?
Sorry, my house must have blown a fuse. I can't see a thing. There are 4 of us trying to study these things. But at the same time, they're hunting us. And of course they have the advantage.
Which is what?
They know for sure that we exist.
Who are the other 3 people studying these things?
There's a zoologist in Colombia named Quentin Merguenza, an evolutionary biologist named Melissa Tenge, and a professor at the University of Minnesota. He studies fear. Who's there? Who's there?
And then I heard a click.
Call ends at 7:37.
I tried to call back, but it wouldn't go through. I sat in the call room thinking I had a choice to make. I can either storm into Sergeant Brock's office saying, I know this sounds crazy, but I think I might be onto something. Or I can move on to the next call. The thing is, even though it sounded ridiculous, I kind of believed her. But I was new to work and I was already screwing up. So I moved on to the next call.
At first, we didn't know we were studying hunting. But, as it turned out, the key had been discovered by a Bolivian named Preta Muguruza. She and her postdoc, Abel Pente, had won the 2021 Nobel Prize in Biology for their work.
Estábamos estudiando algo que la gente había notado durante siglos.
We were studying something people had noticed for centuries.
Se llama el enigma de la Guada Negra.
It's called the black widow conundrum. When an insect gets caught in a black widow's web, the spider doesn't attack right away. Instead, it performs a particular, almost ritualized pattern of movement. The struggling moth knows that something approaches. Slowly, the widow moves herself into view, large, black, shiny. The insect panics, jerking the web up and down. Adrenaline flows from the moth into the web. The strands are drenched in the insect's terror, and the widow bathes in it. It's a brilliant evolutionary strategy because it takes nourishment from a different part of the animal. Every other predator on the planet feeds on the meat of its prey. These creatures subsist on the powerful chemicals secreted by creatures who are terrified. They feed on fear.
A creature that feeds on fear has a different hunting strategy than one that feeds on flesh. If terror is what sustains you, then you need to create it. So, Farinox don't chase the prey, they trap it.
The Venus flytrap and the black widow are 2 of the most famous Farinox. A plant, an insect. But then there was an evolutionary jump.
The idea that a species of Farinox was capable of mimicking human emotion was so hard for us to get by that we had to take a step back and ask ourselves not how could this happen, but why would it? Why would it be worth it to prey on humans when there are 100,000 other species of animals much easier to capture?
Evolution follows the prey. The juicier the prey, the more clever the trap. Farinox chose a prey, Their only prey are the creatures on Earth most susceptible to fear.
Human brains evolved in a way that made them extremely good at sensing fear on the horizon. Is that a snake in the grass or a large branch? Is that a lion's roar or thunder? All of this worry is what kept us alive for 100,000 years. But when we emerged from the jungle, all that worry didn't simply disappear. It just repurposed itself. So now, instead of worrying about being eaten by a tiger, you have to worry about tomorrow's math test.
All the anxiety we produce is useless to us, but from a Baronox point of view, it makes us the equivalent of a large, slow-moving steak.
From the obituary of Mary J., professor at the University of Washington. Professor J was well-liked and well-respected. Her unfortunate passing has really thrown a cloud over campus. She is survived by her parents, Martin and Pandela J., and by her grandmother, Tamala Lambert. Section 5, Kenosha.
Interview with Kenosha R. Silverling Johnson, October 5th, 2024, 8:15 a.m., Manachap High School. Second floor, counseling office.
And do you know why we're having this conversation?
Because of yesterday?
Can you be more specific?
Because of what happened in the woods.
It's what you told people happened in the woods.
It happened.
You talked to a lot of people yesterday. You told them all the same story.
Yes.
Is that story you're sure is true? Or is it possible you made some of it up?
No, it was all true.
That's why we're here today, Kenosha. That story about what happened in the woods, it couldn't have possibly happened.
Kenosha came out of the womb perfect, but when she was 3 weeks old, she had a seizure, and we thought we'd lose her. You could tell right away that something had changed.
I remember Kenosha's first day at Manachap because she got up to the audition board, only the string for the pencil had broken, so there was no way to put your name on it. And I said, if you want to audition, I've got a pen. And she said, my name is Kenosha R. Silverling Johnson.
A joke very quickly went around, and I don't know who started it, but the R.
The R.
The R.
The R was to distinguish herself.
To distinguish herself from all other Kenosha Silverling Johnsons.
The kids that are old school could be so mean. Manachap was supposed to be a fresh start.
Thinking back, that was a bad start, because you always had this little bit of distance.
Kenosha had all the right and normal emotions, like grief and happiness and nervousness, but they weren't wired correctly. Like she'd grimace to say, I love you. Kenosha spent her whole life studying other people's emotions as she got quite good at showing the right emotion, but she was just acting. It's like she was doing it phonetically. There was one thing, though, that she couldn't manage to do, and that was to lie. There was so much going on, like what do you do with your hands, do your eyes look up or down? She couldn't calibrate the information.
She said she couldn't go to homecoming with me because her uncle was an astronaut. I wasn't actually going to ask her, but that still made me feel bad.
I'd give her lessons. I'd say, okay, the situation is, you're 2 hours late, I'm angry, and I'm frantic, go. And she'd go blank. And then he'd tell me that your phone ran out of juice. And she was just awful. I'd say, Kenosha, you have got to master this or you're going to have the worst teenage years of anybody on earth.
The bench incident really was an accident, you know. The lunch tables, they're long with these long benches. And Kenosha was sitting all alone. So I went up and asked if anybody was sitting there, and she said, no. So I picked up the bench and moved it over to our table so it could fit more people. Of course, long term, it actually worked in her favor, because while she was sitting all alone is when Clifton went over to her.
Clifton? Oh, where to start?
Yeah,
Clifton's kind of perfect.
I think he's really, really nice.
kind.
So sweet.
We don't have any homecoming queens or kings or any sort of royalty. But if we did, he would be both kings!
He just walked over and asked
There was one thing, actually. When I saw her for the first time, her phone rang, and she didn't even look at who it was, but she made herself smile, and when she answered the phone, you could hear it in her voice.
Next thing you know, I look over, and they're in the cafeteria, and she's making him laugh.
A lot of times, she's hilarious on purpose, but not always. Once, I was laughing so hard.
His head literally hits the table.
Once she said to me, "I like you more than water."
You'd see them everywhere together. He'd laugh and put his arm around her neck.
I couldn't tell if it was romantic or not.
It's barely a week into school, and there's the new girl standing at the audition board. Only the strings for the pen have broken.
I want to be in a play, so I did some research, and I found the best book about acting, which is Uta Hagen's Respect for Acting. It's pretty famous, and it's great. You should read it if you're interested in acting, though.
We had talked about the idea of Kenosha joining theater because, well, I thought she'd be quite good at it. She was so good at mimicking other people's emotions. I said, well, sweetheart, go for it.
Kenosha, that story you told so many people, it made some of those people anxious. It scared them.
Did they cancel the play?
No.
Well, then it didn't scare them enough.
Why do you want the play to be canceled?
Something bad is going to happen.
What's going to happen? Can you tell me that?
It was really early for the spring play to be happening, but we just went with it. We assumed it had something to do with the Miss Pendleton tragedy.
Marsh Pendleton was one of my best teachers. Such a shock. Just 2 days before the start of school, bam, dropped out of a heart attack. She was 38, didn't smoke, exercised. You know that just happens sometimes.
Kenosha came home the day of the audition, and she burst through the door, and I asked, how'd it go? She said, I nailed it.
I saw her audition. She was really good, but I told her, you never know.
The next day, she calls me from school, and she's talking really fast, and she says, I didn't get a part. And I say, well, sweetheart, sometimes things like that happen. We don't get everything we expect. She said, but I was the best one. Still, there could be all sorts of reasons. She said, no, something's up.
The casting was pretty strange.
We're all looking at the list like, why don't I know these names?
Basically, every name on that list was new. Every kid that was there was new that year.
When Kenosha would get too excited, she would lose her skill at imitating. So I started to hear this. She hung up, and I could tell that something might happen.
We went to the cast meeting, and I was there to see if I could volunteer for tech. Then Kenosha shows up. She starts to make an announcement, and then nothing. Then she starts to make beeping noises.
That was a panic attack.
She hit the ground hard, one knee. She could not breathe. She literally crawled out of the room.
A person who tells a story over and over, it gives a performance aspect to it. They subconsciously know what things are your reaction and lean into those aspects of the story. The story doesn't go so much as memorized as etched.
She says, I'm going to tell you a story. Please just listen.
She said, please, just listen.
Please, just listen. Yesterday, I made it out of the school, but I hit my left knee.
My left knee, right here, so I couldn't go very fast.
I was allowed to walk home on the highway as long as I faced the traffic. I looked behind me, and all of a sudden there were 3 people way back, and I knew I had to get away from them.
There's that big strip of forest between the highway and the Walmart, and before I jumped into it, I looked back and they were way closer. The forest is deep, but I cut through it all the time. The forest is deep, but I cut through it all the time, so I knew I'd have an advantage. But when I looked back,
I got so scared.
When I looked back, I got so scared, because they turned in right after me. They wanted me in the forest, and they were fast.
there's this sound, crazy loud.
The loudest thing I've ever heard.
Ever. I can't tell where it's coming from. I'm shaking.
I ran.
I ran faster than I could see.
I looked back once, and this was the thing that scared me more than anything ever.
One by one, their eyes lit up. Which I know sounds crazy.
There's a carnival in the Walmart parking lot. Just some bumper cars in a tilt-a-whirl. I could hear the scream of the 7-year-olds as they came around the dip of the kiddie coaster.
All I needed was to get to them. But I looked back, and there weren't 3 pairs of lit up eyes.
There were 2.
Where's the other?
And I have to choose. Do I make it to the parking lot carnival, or do I hide in the forest? I know I'm close, but the scariest idea is that I almost make it. And that the 3rd one is waiting, and he grabs me in his arms.
And I can't do it. I can't go forward.
People don't naturally look up because we got no predators from up there. So I start climbing a tree.
I start climbing a live oak.
A live oak, and halfway up, I freeze. The two of them get to me, then the third one does, and they don't see me, even though they light the ground with their eyes.
They start to argue.
They have an argument about whose fault it was. Then two of them grab the third, and he starts to scream, "Please, no." They whisper in his ear, and he falls over dead onto the roots of the tree. What he whispered was, "Can I tell you a secret?"
Kenosha, can you concentrate here just a little bit longer? You said their eyes lit up? Could those have been flashlights?
No, I know the difference.
Have you ever heard of anybody whose eyes lit up?
No.
Then is it possible you just imagined it? If what you said happened in the woods, there should have been 4 sets of footprints, right? But we only found yours.
They must have erased them.
The police followed the tracks up to the tree just like you said. But there was no body.
They must have moved it.
And what about the sounds that they were making that seemed like they were coming from everywhere?
It was a foghorn.
There are no foghorns within 200 miles.
It was a foghorn.
Foghorns are an example of a phenomenon called duotones, sounds that mean different reasons in different contexts. In the distance, a foghorn is comforting. It tells you that you're safe. But if you hear it too loud or too close, it's too late.
After the story in the woods, Kenosha started to act weird. Like, she wouldn't go to the south wing where the theater is. Wouldn't go at all, even in the chem lab. I'd say, Kenosha, you're putting your whole chem grade in jeopardy, but she will not go anywhere near that theater.
She started to talk bad about the play. She pulled me aside and said, "This play is like a malady." I had no idea what that meant.
She told me the play would be like a sick dog, but scarier.
She said it would leave a greenish taste in my mouth.
I'm surprised she even had time to go to class. She talked to over a quarter of the school.
She pulled me aside and said, "I don't think you should go to the play that night. Let's play charades instead."
We should have a movie night.
She said, "Please, please, please, don't go to the play." I said, "Kenosha, I'm in the play."
Kenosha was so scared to go to the play, but of course she ended up going anyways. She thought she could save those people. My brain has an anchor, right here. It weighs down my thoughts and I can't see through it.
Please, I like you more than water.
Kenosha told everybody she knew that night that the play was going to end in horror. I knew she couldn't lie, and I still didn't believe her.
Email from Marion J. to Gwendolyn H. October 4th, 3 days before Marion J. was found dead in her study.
Ferrox are perfect replicas of people. These things pass human everywhere. They mimic our emotions, and the only person who has ever been able to detect a Ferrox was someone who was mimicking emotions herself. It was the girl who disappeared, Kenosha. Section 6, Search. Email from Marion J. to Gwendolyn H. October 5th, 2 days before Marion J.'s death. Miss H., please respond to me. When Ferronox attack, it's 99.9% fatal, like rabies. Once they attack, you have up to a week until your heart starts to stop. But it's going to stop. In the whole history that this has been happening, there's only ever been one survivor.
I was still working on the slush pile, but I knew there was only one person who knew what happened in that theater. And to talk to her, I was going to need an angle. So I stormed into Sergeant Brock's office and said, "Let me talk to the girl."
I said the girl's useless.
She said 4 words, which doesn't make any sense.
She wanted out of there.
What if what she said was 4 words? Like she was trying to tell him about something that somebody said. Let me talk to the girl. I can get you those 4 words.
With all those bodies in the theater, it felt heavy and warm, like a greenhouse. It was 241 bodies in total, but they'd stuck IV tubes into all of them. And that's what he noticed at first. It was actually kind of beautiful, because it was dark in the theater and those bags glowed.
He came to me and he said, "I want to take some time off."
And he said, "I'm sorry. I need all hands on deck right now."
And Efren said, and he choked up, he said, "I know these people. I love these people."
I wanted to see if I could help out in the theater. See if I could figure out those noises where the bodies were making. He said nobody can hear those noises except you.
And Efren said, "That's why they need me."
Manachap Psychiatric Facility, Stabilization Room 4, October 21st, 9:30 a.m.
Angela, my name is Gwendolyn Haish. I'm one of the detectives that's trying to figure out what happened in the Oak Box. I wanted to ask you a few questions. Does that security camera bother you? It shouldn't. It's only there in case if something happened, which it won't. But if it did, they can look back and see what happened. You know, I feel like I know you. Every time I talk to people about you, their whole voice bubbles up. They talk about your soccer and your sense of humor in that CPR class you started. Right now, a lot of people need your help. I have a theory about what you said to the fireman. He heard 4 words, which doesn't make any sense, but I think you meant 4 words. Could you tell me which one of those it was? I want to ask you something.
Get away from me!
I'm sorry.
Get away!
Oh, sweetheart, I'm sorry.
Help! Help me!
Theater Camera 1, October 25th, 2:45 a.m.
Anyway, Eric, I'll be back to check on you soon. Miss Mel, this is Efren Salas. I was in your 8th grade trigonometry class 14 years ago. I'm here to make sure you're safe, but that's not all. I know that you're making noises. You and everyone else in this theater. If you can make a noise, I'll hear you. I have great hearing. Try it for me. The year I was in your class was the year those midterms got stolen off your desk. Make a noise if you remember that. Well, for me it's a good memory. Because I was one of 6 kids who had that period free. But instead of making me a suspect, you deputized me. I was young and I was new at the school, and I never told you what that meant to me. It's part of the reason why I fight fires. So, what I wanted to tell you was, I did steal those tests. Did you hear that?
Quiet!
She made the sound. Nobody heard that?
You gotta keep your voice down.
They can hear us.
Manachap Psychiatric Facility, Stabilization Room 4.
Thank you for seeing me again.
Answer every question I ask you. You pause more than a second, I kick you out. What's a book you read in high school English?
Hamlet?
In 15 seconds, tell me your life.
Born and raised in Indiana, moved to New York City to be an artist, didn't work out, but I met my husband. Moved here for law enforcement, my daughter's in 3rd grade.
6 times 8?
48.
What are you most afraid of?
Millipedes.
Tell me the secret.
What secret?
Tell me the secret or I kick you out.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was 4 words.
4 words. 4 words that somebody said in the theater that night. Could you tell me which one of those it were? You don't even have to say them. You can write them or whisper them as soft as you like.
I'm too scared.
There's nothing here that can hurt you. Who said the words, male or female?
Female.
Adult or student?
Adult.
What were the words?
I'll tell you next time.
Give me the first word, just the first word.
The.
The first word is the. Thank you.
Theater Camera 3.
There are scientists in Guangzhou, China, who have this machine that seems to help with coma patients. It's a machine that releases sound waves, and it's so huge they put it in a cargo plane, and it's already flying over the Pacific. And there are scientists in Cape Town who have these eye drops that seem to stimulate brain function. And all over the world, in different ways, people are praying for you.
Efren.
Captain Donovan.
Got bad news. The EEG results came back. None of the body show brain function.
No brain function they can measure.
They're registered.
You don't know that. You're not a scientist. What if whatever happened to them hides the brain waves?
That's not possible.
This isn't possible.
They're breathing, but they're as good as dead.
Then what about the noises I keep hearing?
Nobody hears those noises but you.
Because I have great hearing.
Or because you want to hear them.
I hear them.
Never shout at me.
I'm sorry.
It's not good for you to be here so much.
It gives me strength.
When was the last time you slept?
I don't need sleep. They're sleeping for me.
That doesn't make sense. I will lose you too.
Fine then. I'll sleep.
Manachap Psychiatric Facility, Stabilization Room 4.
Angela, it's me again. I brought you some music since I heard they gave you a piano. You all right? Are you too achy to play? Here, how about this?
Gymnopédie number 1 by Eric Satie. It's known for being calming, soothing. Parents in Europe play it to calm their children.
Whenever you're ready, what's the second word?
Plays.
Plays. The plays. And the third word? Let the music calm you down.
Not.
Good. The plays not. And the fourth word?
Over.
Over. The plays not over. Why does this scare you, Angela?
Theater cameras 4 and 6, October 14, 4 p.m.
Captain Donovan, I figured it out. I know what's going on.
I'm here to escort you out.
No,
Yes, Efren.
I figured it out.
Worried about you.
Haven't you ever had that dream? You're asleep, and you can't move, you can't make a sound, and something's chasing you. And you can make these tiny little squeaks that people from outside the dream can hear. They're trying to scream their way out of there.
Efren, you know I like you. I think you respect me.
I do.
But you're not in your right mind.
I'm fine.
I disagree, and I'm ordering you to come with me.
They need me here.
There's no they there anymore.
Then what about the noises?
The debate now is going to take him off life support.
No!
The doctors made this decision.
They got it wrong.
I need you to come with me.
Or what?
Or you're fired.
I don't care about that.
No department in this country will hire you.
I'll change careers.
I'm 2 seconds from dragging you out.
You're not big enough.
I brought deputies.
I'll slip out between the bags.
Get out of this theater right now!
No! People, please, I know you can hear me. I need you to know something. I need you to know that you're loved. This town loves you, and God loves you, and I love you. And I will not let anything happen to you. But please, if you can hear me, reach back now. Give me 1%, and I'll reach the other 99.
Let's go, Efren.
Do you hear that?
I hear it.
So do I.
Here too. They're in there. We'll find a way to get them out.
We've been over this.
Something protected you.
I don't know what.
What was different about that night?
Nothing.
In the play, you can't remember anything other than those 4 words. The play's not over.
I will tell you, it's just all blank.
Angela, I need you to do me a favor.
What?
When you get out of here tomorrow, I want you to come with me to the theater.
No.
I'll be right there with you.
I can't.
My guess is once you get into the theater, you'll remember what happened. Let's go through the performance night one more time.
It was a typical Friday. Math, biology, social studies, PE, Toastmasters.
Which you said was after school at the Y.
Yeah.
Are you a good speaker?
No, that's why I'm in Toastmasters. My hands get all shaky, my chest tightens up. Oh,
What?
it was my day to speak, and well, my dad's an internist, and he gave me a pill, Inderal. And it's supposed to stop the adrenaline from taking over, so I can speak more.
You took a pill that blocks adrenaline.
No, I took 3.
Section 7, Trap. Fear is irrational. Scary movies make us wince even though we know there's no way anything could come out of the screen and harm us. If anything, theater should be scary.
Unsent email from Miriam J. the afternoon of her death.
The attack is so simple. The Faranock says, "Can I tell you a secret?" And the victim says, "Yes." And that's the mistake. Because they think of all the scary things that the secret could be. The Faranock whispers something. A tiny extension of one of their incisors punctures the ear, drains every bit of adrenaline from the victim's body, and they fall unconscious. These things frighten me. I study them, but I study them at a distance. They're right on the border between the monsters who pretend to scare us and the people who actually do.
Theater cameras 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Final recordings.
You can do this.
Who's there?
It's us, Detective Page. And you remember Angela. You carried her out of here?
Yes, hello. Are you all right?
No, not really.
This place takes time to get used to.
I know almost every face.
And you can help them. If you can remember what happened, that can make the difference.
Are they all still alive?
We're giving them water and nutrients, but soon that's not going to be enough.
Could you leave us alone for a bit?
Yeah, I'll be in back. There's others in back if you need us.
Do you remember where you were?
right where I am now.
Okay, I want you to think about the days leading up to the play. There were posters all over school. Do you remember them?
Yeah, they said, don't tell the secret, and then they changed and said, can I tell you a secret?
Good, then on the last day they changed again. They added the title of the play. Do you remember that?
No,
You don't remember the title of the play?
I don't.
It might help you to get up on stage.
No,
I'm right there with you.
I can't.
My guess is once you get up here, you'll remember what happened. Let's go through what's the last thing you remember about the performance?
I was running late because of Toastmasters, but I guess I didn't really have to worry since the play started late due to an electrical problem.
Angel, come up on here. I won't let anything happen to you. This is where they found you. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, lower your head, and on the count of 3, raise your head and open your eyes. 1, 2, 3.
911, what's your emergency?
I'm not sure.
Is it life-threatening?
Yes.
Are you safe right now?
No.
I'm sending someone. More than one. There's cars already on the way. What's your name, honey?
Angela.
Angela?
Angela. I'm sending him to Oak Box. Is that right?
Yes.
And there's a play. The high school's doing a play. Is that where you are?
Yes.
In the theater?
Yes.
And somebody's hurt?
Everybody.
What are you saying? Where are you in the theater?
I'm just standing on the stage.
Take a very, very deep breath. Hold it.
Angela, what are you thinking about?
The end. Calling for help knowing it's too late.
I want you to look at something. This is the program from that night. That's the title of the play.
Track.
What?
It was right in front of us.
What was?
It should have been obvious. The play was a track. It was even called Track. Look, the play was in sections. 1, a picture to infinity. 2, the oak box. 3, what held them. What held us? Something had happened in a theater, at a school play. Everyone in the audience had fallen over unconscious.
Okay, but what happened in the play? What was the story about?
That's what it was about.
So in this play you were watching, people had fallen over unconscious in the audience?
Yeah, it was mostly interviews, like a documentary. Everyone had fallen over except one girl.
And in the play, what happened to them?
There were these creatures. They looked human, but they weren't. They're called Faranarks. They attacked the audience one by one and then all at once.
Okay, now what happened to the audience, to the people you were with?
That's what happened.
No, what made the people you were watching the play with fall unconscious?
Those creatures, they're like black widows. They feed on our fear.
Those are creatures in a play. They're not real.
Yes, they are.
I promise they're not.
They confuse people. The play was about all the bad things that would happen to us, so once they started to happen, no one could tell what was real and what wasn't.
Even if they were real, they're not here now. Take a deep breath. Hold it.
Get away from me!
What's wrong?
Who's here? Who's in the theater?
Are you all right?
I think we're okay. Should we leave?
No, I just got freaked out.
This place can do that. Do you want me to stay?
Yes, please, for a little bit.
Tell me more about the creatures.
In the final section, which was also called Track, the Faranarks started to attack.
Attack the audience.
Yeah.
How did they do that?
Well, the girl, she walked into the audience and, well, she was narrating what she was doing, and she stopped in front of a boy. And she leaned down and asked a question. Can I tell you a secret? And, well, the boy fell over out of his chair. But no one thought anything of it because in the program it said fallen boy. But then she moved the heroes back and did the same thing. Can I tell you a secret? The girl nodded and...
At first we didn't understand something. If Faranark attacks depended on anxiety, then why were these people falling over? They didn't think the play was real, so they should have been safe. Well, those people were worried about this, that one of the actors would walk up to them and whisper in their ear and they wouldn't know what to do. They had stage fright, which, as it turns out, is just as fatal as fear of death.
By the time she got to me, I was scared. But when they leaned down and whispered, nothing happened.
You taken the Enderall?
Yeah.
How many people had fallen over by then?
A lot.
And why wouldn't somebody have left?
They all thought it was part of the play. Someone's cell phone had gone off, but the program said cell phone girl. Can I tell you a secret?
Stop! Stop the play! Who's that?
My name is Kenosha R. Silverland Johnson. Everybody, for your own safety, you have to leave. There's a child trapped in a car in the parking lot.
You'll all have to go out to check to make sure it's not your car.
Worst liar in the entire world.
Please, leave.
They think you're part of the play.
You're the one playing me.
Yes.
You're not human.
What am I then?
Fair enough. You two are human, you're human, you're human, and you're human. Stay away from them! Now when you leave,
They think you're part of the play because you are a part of the play.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. Right here. It says Real Kenosha.
It's a trick.
It's a high school play.
It's the perfect trick. Everybody has to come. Nobody's allowed to leave. They're feeding on your anxiety. You've only lost a few so far, but that'll change quick. The lights will go out, you'll hear a crazy loud noise, and their eyes will light up red as they start to feed.
There's nothing you can do that'll get them out of their chairs.
Don't have to get them out of their chairs, just have to get through you.
Good luck.
I've been in the theater this whole time preparing a surprise.
What's the surprise?
I told you it wouldn't be much of a surprise. Everybody, they're feeding on your stress. So smile. Relax yourself from the inside out. And I promise you will not be called on as part of this performance. What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
Then why are you built it?
We're acting. Stop. I want to tell you a secret.
Now what?
If you let me tell you a secret, I'll wake up the rest of the audience.
How?
Your only chance to save them is to believe me.
Don't believe you.
Please, just let me tell you a secret.
Stop smiling. Go ahead. Can I tell you a secret? I took foreign girl. Surprise!
Too bad. Lost your remote. And everyone out there still thinks this is a play.
Everyone except one. Mom! I'm right here, sweetie. Now!
That was the sound I heard that night. The sound of all of those people being freed. The best scream you could imagine.
25 days after the events at Oak Box began, they came to an end.
My name's Angela Lur, and I survived the Menachat Faranock attack.
My name's Clifton, and I survived being in the play.
Mara Aoki. I'm still alive because of Kenosha R. Silverling Johnson.
Kenosha saved my life.
My whole family was in the play that night.
Thank you, Kenosha.
Thank you, Kenosha! All the people involved in con just had no memory of what happened, but it changed them. I published 3 papers.
I got a medal.
I got a promotion.
I got a parade.
I got Kenosha.
For a few weeks last year, the town of Minnechaps, California became famous. But the fame went away fast. What happened seemed impossible. Psychologists wrote it off as an example of mass hysteria. People getting scared in the place that already scared them.
I lived through the Menachat Faranock attack, and even I'm not sure it actually happened. Was it real, or was it like the I Am the People? The most scared I've ever been. And it was just me, scaring me.
The play's not over.
Section 8. The play's not over.
The main thing about a trap is it needs to confuse the prey.
Why would a play have a false ending?
What's real, what's not.
Everybody, we're having a little problem with the lights.
The prey is most vulnerable when it thinks it's escaped.
The spider's not home.
The web almost breaks.
I'm almost out of the woods.
It was just me, scaring me.
Recursion, a high school play about a high school play. An audience being attacked while watching a play about an audience being attacked.
You say to an audience, "You're going to die," and they'll stand in their seats because they don't want to miss it.
All Chernoffs are 16 years old.
Except one.
People are naturally scared of the dark.
Can I tell you a secret?
Can I tell you a secret?
Can I tell you a secret?
In the distance, a foghorn is comforting. It tells you that you're safe. But if you hear it too loud, it's too close.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
It's too late.
Oh my gosh.